Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now broadcasting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles, with the president of the California Tax Limitation Committee, Mike Alexander, and America's funniest reporter, Carl Kozlowski.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me in there, Sully? Am I live? All right, because it's not coming in to my headphones here. In any rate, you know, one of the problems, folks, with radio, you have headphones on. It's difficult to understand how your voice sounds. Which knob is it? This number one? Yeah, I'm up. Maybe I'm not hitting the right one. There we are. I don't know. But in any event, as long as you guys can hear me, we're good. Mike Alexander here. Carl Kozlowski is not with us. He writes for the Pasadena Weekly, and one of his specialties is movie and entertainment reviews. So he is somewhere out there on or near the red carpet.
I think I saw him on the red carpet tonight.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right,
Carl was looking good.
What was he wearing?
He was wearing that tri-corner hat.
All right. Well, at any rate, Carl, we'll miss you tonight. But we look forward to hearing a little bit about it. You know, there's always some good movies out there that merit our attention. Tonight, just to give you an idea, we're going for the first time an additional 30 minutes tonight. So instead of stopping at 9 o'clock, we're going to go to 9:30. Also, as you know, we have a podcast that goes out, or a link to the podcast that goes out every Monday, courtesy of Jonathan Wilson, who's here with me tonight. Welcome, Jonathan.
Great to be here, Mike.
Yeah. So our format tonight is we're first of all going to give you an update on Sierra Madre. Now, I can hear a lot of you groaning. Many of you may not even know that Sierra Madre is a city. And you're struggling out there asking yourself, why should I care? Well, let me tell you why you should care about Sierra Madre. And the first thing that you need to know is that this is first and foremost an educational forum. We're not here to run a regular a nationally syndicated radio show here. We're trying to educate the voter, that would be you, and get you to take action. But you can't take intelligent action until you understand the problem. And one of the best ways that we can illustrate this problem is by giving you case studies. Because trust me, whatever it is that we're talking about going on in the city of Sierra Madre is going on in your city, is certainly going on in your county if you're in Los Angeles County. These things go on everywhere. So by discussing specific case examples, you can get a good idea of what to be aware of in your own city and begin to take action. And when you hear us talk time after different cities, you are going to start to get the idea, and that is they're all the same people. They're all working together. There's a network of cities and people who advocate big government, and they run all the way from the smallest city in Los Angeles County to the state of California and on up to the federal government. They are all disciples of big government. They are all apostles and advocates of big government. Because remember, our two primary principles, the first goal of government, the first job of government is to grow itself. And with respect to those who are employed by government, they are paid partisan political activists, and that also extends to their spouses and anybody else inside or outside that government who are getting a government check. And that's why we have the condition that we have in our country where government is growing beyond its bounds. Now, speaking of government growing beyond its bounds and what we need to do, there is an event in the offing, which I think they're trying to get Larry Elder of this station, Hugh Hewitt as well as Dennis Prager. Convention of States are talking about an event on April 10th in Pasadena, California, where we'll talk about the status of the Convention of States. I'm not part of that program, but a lot of people I know are. And the reason why we're talking about Convention of States is because we believe that the federal government cannot and therefore will not reform itself. We're just going to have to wait until the states themselves, who constituted and created the federal republic that we have, come together and pass amendments to restructure the federal government and bring it under control. That is a multi-year operation, but it begins now, like everything. And as the saying goes, the world belongs to those who show up. And that's you and me, and thank you so much for showing up here on our station here tonight. And if you'd like to call in and be part of the program, our telephone number is 866-870-5752.
And watch our broadcast live at radiofreelosangeles.net. You can see Mike and myself here in the studio.
Right. Yeah,
it's very exciting.
I'm the big guy on the left. Yeah, Jonathan is the guy on the right, far right. Okay, now on to the city of Sierra Madre. They have an election coming up here in a few short weeks. They are going to be electing, I think, 3 out of 5 councilmen. 3 out of 5 seats are up for are open seats, ready for re-election or election, as the case may be. But one of the key things that's on the ballot over there is a repeal of the utility users tax that they have fought about in Sierra Madre for the better part of 10 years. It's been on, it's been off, it's been on again, it's been increased. In any event, Sierra Madre, like so many cities, I calculate there's about 70 cities in Southern California have a utility users tax. And what this is a tax that they slap on to your telephone bill, your cell phone bill, your cable bill, your water bill, gas bill, electric bill, internet bill, you name it. And there's probably 10 of the things that I forgot, but it ranges anywhere from 7.5% to 10%, and I think it's 10% out in Sierra Madre. And that generates around $2.6 million a year, and many of the citizens in Sierra Madre are fed up with high spending and high taxes and have put a local initiative on the city ballot to repeal this $2.6 million tax. Now, as you might imagine, the city fathers and mothers out there, as the case may be, are beyond themselves in their opposition to this because they believe that somehow this $2.6 million is a key to the quality of life. Now, remember that phrase, quality of life, because you're going to see it. It comes up in all of these local elections anytime you suggest cutting 15 cents from the budget. Remember, it's just all part of the same fraud, the same hustle, and the same con. Let's look at the facts out in Sierra Madre. I know numbers are hard, but what you can do is to go to our website. Now, Jonathan, you put these ballot statements
I just put everything up on catlc.net.
Right.
So if you go to that page, and you're going to see our Make California Golden Again banner, and then just scroll down the page, and you'll see the argument against and the argument for, and then the rebuttal.
You got it. Now, contained in there are all the facts that you need to know. And I'm going to try not to read this. You can go to just pull it up on your cell phone. You'll see it just fine. Sierra Madre's population hasn't changed in 10 years. In fact, in Los Angeles County, the cities are so old and stable that probably only cities like Santa Clarita have actually grown in population. Very few of them have grown. But just because the population is stable doesn't mean that that their spending is stable. in Sierra Madre, the general fund grew over the last 10 years an astonishing 55%. It grew from $6.1 billion to $9.4 million, while total city revenues grew 25% from $17.5 million to $21.4 million. You can see what is happening there in Sierra Madre. So they claim that they're short of money, but they actually have a spending problem. And that, nowhere's a spending problem better illustrated than in the number of employees, full-time employees in Sierra Madre, which has grown. 36% of them have salary and benefits over $100,000 per year. Now that is the big story. Now, we're going to be taking a break here in just a moment. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Sierra Madre's debt.
If you like what you're hearing and would like to support Radio Free Los Angeles and the California Tax Limitation Committee, please call area code 626-792-1772, 626-792-1772, or kindly visit our website, catlc.net, catlc.net. You can also watch Radio Free Los Angeles on Facebook Live at radiofreela.us.
If you'd like to talk with Radio Free Los Angeles, the phone lines are wide open. 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. We're live, local, and here to talk with you. 866-870-KRLA.
All right, back with you, Mike Alexander. With Jonathan Wilson tonight. Once again, Carl is absent. He's at the Academy Awards here tonight. Let's get back into Sierra Madre. So Sierra Madre is collecting $2.6 million a year, and a lot of citizens there think that they spend too much money. They have a spending problem, not a revenue problem, because revenues have gone up 25%, and the general fund itself has grown over 50%. But the big story in Sierra Madre and every other place is the burgeoning pension debt. Now, what do we mean by pension debt? A lot of you folks are just maybe joining us for the first time. When we talk about pension debt, we talk about the amount of money that the city has failed to set aside to pay future pension benefits. Now, that number is calculated by CalPERS, but that's a low-ball number. And even CalPERS, as a California pension and retirement system, even the CalPERS low-ball number is $10 million. So it's $10 million they failed to set aside. But according to the Stanford Institute for Economic Research, that number could be as high as $40 million, four times more than they're admitting to. So the city owes somewhere between $10 and $40 million, and that $40 million, of course, would represent 185% of the city's total budget. This is how deep underwater so many of these cities are. So what we really have on the ballot out there, ladies and gentlemen, is not a utility users tax. It is a pension tax, and they don't want to do without this money. Now, the idiots that run that city filed an argument against Measure D, and it'll come as no surprise to you that that if they cut $2.6 million from that budget, the collapse of Western civilization will ensue, including reduction and elimination, of course, of fire department and paramedic services, resulting allegedly in a slower response. We hear that all the time. One of these days, we're going to unpack that and show you all about these phony response times that they come up with. And then here's one of my favorite here, that it'll mean the elimination of community events and services such as the Mount Wilson Trail Race, the 4th of July Parade, the Wisteria festival, concerts and movies in the park, and senior activities. Now, would you mind telling me what the hell business a city that is broke and underwater, somewhere between $10 million and $40 million that they owe to employees who are already retired, why in the world they're doing that? Then, of course, reduction of library service with only 1 to 2 days of service. I know this is going to tick off people everywhere, but these cities need to take those libraries and sell them as fast as possible, develop them into income-producing assets. Libraries are not necessarily antique, but these resources are available, books and everything else. And by the way, Sierra Madre is one of the more affluent cities in the San Gabriel Valley. They'll find other ways to get to the library. And, of course, it'll always mean reduction in general fund dollars dedicated to fixing potholes, et cetera, et cetera. So you see...
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, the sky is falling.
Sky is falling.
And the crazy thing, Mike, is that a lot of voters fall for that, don't they?
Right.
Unfortunately.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
They do. And so, to hear them tell it, we cut $2.6 million, and suddenly we have Bangladesh in the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, our reply to that was, of course, that they shouldn't be fooled. And all you have to do is look at the manager salaries. They need to cut salaries. Their city mismanager, $233,000. Director of Public Safety, $194,000. Who makes this kind of money? I mean, these would be high salaries for people with graduate degrees who actually produce income and profit and run businesses. And then you can get all the way down. We're going to have our nominations here for Government Grifter of the Week at the end of our first hour here, and you'll see some of them. I mean, the fire chief down there is in there at a base salary of $160, fire capped $150. Why do we have to pay these people this kind of money to get basic income? We got 90 million people unemployed in the United States. So if you live in Sierra Madre and you don't you don't like all this sort of thing, then you need to call in our program and let us know what your thoughts on it. And Jonathan, give them the number.
Yeah, we'd also like, if you're against Measure D, we'd like to hear from you. Either side, we'd love to hear your opinion. The number here to call in, please call in, we'd love to hear from you, is 866-870-5752.
Very good. Now, speaking of callers, we have Matt on line 1 who would like to talk about government pension. Matt, are you there? Hello, Matt.
Yes. How are you?
Oh, well, I'm fine this evening. Matt, my notes here say that you'd like to talk about the government pension problem.
Yeah, I would.
Fire away.
Okay. I've got a couple of things to say, but I don't want to take too much of your time. But I'm a very good electrician, single-phase, three-phase, different kinds of things. I worked in the military on aircraft, and I've got a pretty good understanding of it. So I got out, and I thought, you know what? I'll use my skills. I have no union, no pension. And it irritates it really irritates me that
right.
You know what I wanted to say.
I do indeed, no problem.
All these, I live in Glendale, California. All these punks collecting incredible high wages from the taxpayers. I had no union, no pension. Why did they need a union?
Right.
And a pension? They ought to save their money, too. I'm losing my previously paid-for house because of taxes. They said I wasn't paying enough taxes. Mm-hmm. And I'm maybe not a very good businessman, and for sure, but I do good work. And I think I've saved a few houses from burning down. And I've gone out and done some industrial three-phase work, too. And it irritates the heck out of me. You've probably heard this on the radio, I think in Orange County, and I think it's true in Glendale, too. These guys are making teachers and fire department and police department making well over $100,000, a lot of them $200,000.
Right.
Plus, they have figured out a way to screw the taxpayers yet again by being able to collect their pension at the same time they're collecting their wages.
Right.
this is totally out of control, and it cannot
Correct.
last.
Thank you, Matt, for saying, that it can't last. First of all, what kind of vessel did you sail on?
Well, I was in the Navy.
Yeah.
And I did my basic training. Not as tough as the Marines and the Army, but was rigorous.
Right.
And
where'd you go through? Great Lakes or or San Diego?
I did my basic training in San Diego.
Right. So my brother.
Oh,
I was across the fence at MCRD, Marine Corps Recruit Depot.
Oh, well, you told me something I didn't know. Say it again.
MCRD, Marine Corps Recruit Depot.
Oh, yeah.
That's right across the way from the Navy. In any event, were you aboard an aircraft carrier? And I asked that for a reason.
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
I was actually stationed.
All right. Well, let's talk about an aircraft carrier. Typically you have a field grade captain who is a captain. An O-10, he's high up, the equivalent of a full colonel in the Army or the Marine Corps or the Air Force. Now, those guys, I forget what they make, but they are in charge of nuclear weapons typically on those aircraft carriers, at least a nuclear-powered vessel.
Yes.
Aircraft, an air wing, the station aboard there, and 5,000 sailors that make that tub the one of the most lethal threats in the world. 5,000 sailors, men and women, making that thing work. Now, that guy will never get the kind of pension that even a police sergeant will get in some of these cities. It's ridiculous. And we have police captains like Glendale, so many cities who make more than Joe Dunford, who's a 4-star Marine general, who's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. They make more money than Jim Mattis makes as the Secretary of Defense. This is insane. And when you say, Matt, that it's not going to last, that it can't work, well, it already isn't work. Let's take your wonderful city of Glendale. We ran a utility user tax repeal there. Oh gosh, I guess about 2 years ago. It was just about this time we were fighting the battle on the ballot statement. And back at that time, CalPERS gave Glendale a number which was around $450 million in underfunded pensions. That's what the city owned. Now, you only have 100,000 people in Glendale. Did you know that?
Well, it's about 100,000 Americans, but there's
all right, now don't get me in trouble here. Okay. That population has been stable, but the actual number is they're using those phony return assumptions. That actual number is closer to $1 billion. Now they squealed like stuck pigs, tried to fight us in court, and the court permitted us to put in the real number, which was $1 billion. So the number, what they owe in your wonderful city of Glendale, is somewhere between $450 million and $1 billion, and that's, I forget how much debt that is per household down there, but it is a lot, and this should have special significance for you, Matt, because what they're saying is that you have to pay for their salaries and their pensions, and that's going to come out of your hide and out of your future. You got to take care of them before you take care of yourself and your wife and your family.
Unfortunately, you're absolutely 100% correct, and I am damn mad.
Yes.
I was not stationed on a ship. I ended up in Vietnam.
Yep.
On aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
I had no small arms training. I didn't even know what an M16 looked like.
Mm-hmm. And
all of a sudden, I'm out on patrol. And I had to ask other guys that had been there, even Marines and Army, because it was a multi-jurisdictional situation. And the other guys were very kind to me and showed me how to operate that weapon.
Well, Matt, I want to, before we go down that road, I want to thank you. I've got a break coming up here in just a little bit. I want to thank you.
I didn't mean to talk so much.
Oh, that's all right. No problem. You're a vet. You earned your right to talk. You paid for it. All right. So did all veterans. And, we don't ask thanks for our duty. It's points off if you don't. You don't get points for doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, in my
Yeah.
You know, I'm a commander of my American Legion post.
All right.
My first job was veteran service officer, and I probably will, even though I'm an old man now, probably join the VFW and particularly the DAV. And if there's anybody out there who has some extra money and they don't know what to do with it, which is probably not many of us, the Disabled American Veterans.
Yep. I know them well. We've done work for them.
Oh.
Hey.
Thank you, and thank your family for serving, too.
Well, no. Hey, thanks very much, Matt, for calling. Are we on break now?
We got 1 minute.
Oh, we got 1 minute. Okay. I heard some music coming on. I didn't know if that was the funeral parlor or what. Yeah, so.
But give us a call.
It sounds like we're in the slumber room here. What?
It sounds like spa music or something.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, a little rain coming down. Yeah. Sullivan's being creative tonight.
Give us a call, 866-870-5752. We're talking about the repeal of the Sierra Madre UUT.
All right, thank you.
Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now broadcasting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with the president of the California Tax Limitation Committee, Mike Alexander, and America's funniest reporter, Carl Kozlowski.
All right, I'm here tonight without Carl. He's at the Academy Awards, but I do have Jonathan Wilson here tonight, who's sitting in for Carl. Of course, Jonathan's usually here. Jonathan, if people would like to call us, what number should they call?
866-870-5752.
Excellent. Now, also, if you would like to contribute, remember this is citizen-sponsored radio. Free men, free markets, limited constitutional government. We don't have any government program or grant paying our fees here. The cost of keeping us on broadcast, neither Jonathan nor I get a check from anybody to do this show. So we would love for you to help us defray the cost of this and all of our other activities. Please go to radiofreelosangeles.net. That's Radio Free Los Angeles, all spelled out, .net. And there's a contribute button there, isn't there?
Right. We're up to about $2,375.
Excellent.
And we want to, this week, try to get up to close to $3,000.
Excellent.
We need to push that number up.
Good, because I don't want Sully walking off the job as engineer. They're temperamental, You don't pay them, and they don't show up. Hey, in the second half, we've got 2 more half-hour segments here. And in this segment, we're going to start talking about school choice. It's coming up. We're going to be submitting an initiative language to the Attorney General of the state of California here within the next month or two. I'll go into the provisions of that proposed initiative in a few minutes. We plan to get what is called title and summary by the end of June, we hope, which will permit us to start getting signatures sometime during early July and then finish it out by the end of this year. But there's a couple things that you need to know about education, or what passes for education here in the state of California. First of all, everybody should know that California spends almost half of its entire budget on so-called education. That's roughly $100 billion. And I don't think that includes the University of California, although it could. But it's one heck of a lot of money. Adjusted for inflation and enrollment, we have doubled our education spending over the last 2 decades, but we've really haven't had any net improvement in results. These test scores are still way down. And bear in mind, these test scores are juiced, and the performance of the kids is judged by the same people who run their phony business called the public schools. They're constantly dumbing down the curriculum, and they still can't pass people in the Pasadena Unified School District, which we're going to do a special program on very soon. That whole operation here is getting ready to go toes up. It is on the verge of bankruptcy. Already, 40% of school-aged children in Pasadena do not attend the public schools. That means that 60% are in the public schools, and they're failing to graduate half of them. So this is insanity. No other business is allowed to survive, and our job here as citizens is to make sure that we end this goofy system. Academically, we're almost dead last among 4th and 8th graders in this state. California, the most high-tech, in many ways the most educated state. We have Stanford, USC, UCLA, California Institute of Technology. We have Silicon Valley. At the higher end, no state very likely has a higher level of education than California has in the upper ranks, but in the lower ranks, nobody is more poorly educated. And yet these are the citizens that we have to rely upon to work with us to build our future. Annually, at least 1/5 of students will not graduate from high school, and only 1/3 of those who do are actually considered college ready. Okay, let's go back from that. High school is supposed to be, to hear them tell the story, high school is supposed to be the pathway to college. Everybody should go to college. Well, only 1/3 of their graduates are ready for college when they get there. And if you really stop to think about it, most children just at a random level are probably going to learn enough in 12 years on their own to qualify for college. So it is very likely that what they learn in grades 1 through 12 is having very little impact on their actual competence. If they didn't go to their schools at all, they would probably have about the same relative ability. And, when we, for example, one thing that the schools did was they eliminated the exit examination because too many of the boneheads were failing to pass it. Now, those, bear in mind, they've been in the system for 12 years, and in LAUSD, they're probably spending $25,000, perhaps even more, per child per year, and they still can't get these kids to level. So clearly, no matter what the teacher unions say, no matter what the teachers themselves may say, or their advocates, these schools in California do not have a money problem. They've got a management and motivation problem, and if they get competition, those schools will improve right away. And if they don't improve, life will at least improve for the students who leave those schools. And we're going to talk about how you and your children can get these get your children out of the public so-called school, so-called system. The teachers in California, of course, one of the big problems is that they have tenure. It's almost impossible to fire them. We have whole rubber rooms downtown Los Angeles where teachers go just to be there because they've been taken out of the system. It's I guess that's the only good thing. The good news is that they're out of the system. The bad news is that that they're still on our payroll. Now, what I'd like is for some people to call in, maybe to change up as we talk about school choice. I'd like some people to call in who have had their children in the public school system and took them out. I'd like to know what your motivation was, especially if you happen to be in a good district. Why did you take them out? Was it culture? Was it education? Was it religion? What was it? We'd like to hear from you on these issues. In the last decade, only 22 out of 277,000 tenured teachers have been dismissed for poor performance. Can you imagine that? You can't even calculate the fraction is so low. It's such a small decimal. But we have, all right, we do have one. That kind of got some interest out there. On line one, we have what? Diemo in South Pasadena School Choice. Are you there? Why don't you come on in?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello, Mike.
Oh, hello. Yes, all right. I reckon you came up there as Diemo. Okay.
No, Guillermo.
Guillermo, yes, we got it. Guillermo and I know each other very well. And, in fact, I think you know your daughters.
Yes.
What was your experience, Guillermo, with the public schools, and what action did you and your wife take?
Well, we had some. We live and we moved to South Pasadena because of the schools supposed to be, very good schools in South Pasadena and very safe and good academics and all that.
Right.
And with the time, after having 3 older children going through the South Pasadena School District, and then we have 2 more, so 5 in total. The last years when we have our 2, one in 7th grade and the other one in 1st grade, we started finding some problems that have been happening, with, first of all, with the celebrations, the year celebrations. We noticed they celebrate Cinco de Mayo, they celebrate Ramadan, but when it comes to Christmas, they never wanted to celebrate Christmas. Instead, they call it the winter program, and they didn't.
Yeah, the winter solstice, yeah.
Yeah, and then they tried to celebrate. At first, they tried to celebrate Christmas, but they asked people not to sing songs like Holy Night or Joy to the World or anything like that. It all has to be White Christmas or Frosty the Snowman.
Right.
And, we felt a little uncomfortable because everybody gets, to celebrate whatever religion they believe in or whatever they believe, but, Christian religion, that was not allowed.
So they were promoting Islam and promoting a form of paganism, or at least radical secularism,
right?
And at the same time discouraging and suppressing any religious expression of Christianity.
Yes. So it was hard for you to, talk to your children about, profess your faith at home and without being, interrupted by the school. And also Well,
I want to go back to that point. What did you mean interrupted by the school? You mean you would teach your children one thing, and then at school they would hear something else, or they would hear your...
Yes, they wanted...
your instruction criticized.
For the Christmas celebration, they have all the children painting mandalas to decorate the school. Which is, mandalas are this symbol of the Hindu religion. It has nothing to do with Christmas, but the way they choose to decorate the Christmas celebration was with mandalas.
Right.
And every kid has to design their own mandala,
right.
And bring it to the school. Paint it a big mandala at home and bring it to the school.
Right.
And, that's not, that's like suppressing Christianity, and we didn't feel comfortable with that. And we wrote a letter in the paper about it, and it came out just a day before the celebration, and we got kind of cast out because of that from school officials and people that were in charge of the winter program.
You mean they didn't want to hear from you?
Yeah, they, some people stopped talking to us, and some
Really?
people that were friends, even friends, that we were in good relationship, they kind of look at us in a different light,
Right. And so if you were in private enterprise, you would call that a hostile work atmosphere.
Right. Yeah.
Very hostile. But you didn't take your children out just because of Ramadan and Christmas. What else was there?
Oh, no, there were more things happening. In our 7th grade, when she started 7th grade, she came from school with her history book. and I started glancing at the book. I like to look at the books when they bring it home. So I started looking at the book, and I noticed that they have 12 different chapters in the book, and of all the 12 chapters, they were all referring to the virtues of the Muslim religion, basically.
Really?
And all the influence of the Hindu of the Muslims throughout history. And then about 2 chapters were about Christianity, and one was about the Inquisition, and about the other one,
right.
was about all the the Crusades.
Right.
So this didn't really ring true to me. I mean, if you look in the history books or any encyclopedia, they cite all the.
All right. I don't know if you can hear that music, Guillermo,
yes,
but why don't you hang on?
Yes.
We keep you through the break, and let's we got to run a little ad here.
If you like what you're hearing and would like to support Radio Free Los Angeles and the California Tax Limitation Committee, please call area code 626-792-1772, 626-792-1772, or kindly visit our website, catlc.net, catlc.net. You can also watch Radio Free Los Angeles on Facebook Live at radiofreela.us.
If you'd like to talk with Radio Free Los Angeles, the phone lines are wide open. 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. We're live, local, and here to talk with you. 866-870-KRLA.
All right. We're back with you. Mike Alexander here, Radio Free Los Angeles. We're on with Guillermo from South Pasadena talking about his miserable experience with the South Pasadena so-called school, so-called system. And you were telling us your bitter experience with the deliberately counterculture and multicultural effort of the South Pasadena school system to promote Islam, to repress or criticize Christianity and so forth. And I imagine that also included a rather broad critique of America, period.
Oh, yes. I mean, this I don't know, right now it's getting worse. I mean, what we decided with my wife, it was to, because we wrote a letter, I show my daughter, an encyclopedia. Look at what Islam did. They kill 80 million people in India, throughout all these years. And they did the Armenian genocide and all these things, and they're in the encyclopedia.
Right.
And then when she confronted the teacher and told her that, she said, "Oh no, that's what the people who hate Islam says."
Right. So you were fighting with your kid. She'd been programmed by the teacher, and when you tried to bring out the facts, the kid starts fighting with you.
Yes.
Over what's actually happened. No, I got it. So what did you and your wife ultimately decide to do, Guillermo?
Well, after that, because also teacher communication, was not very good. Not only, the kids start falling through the cracks, and you don't hear anything from the teachers. The next thing you hear is like, "Oh, your daughter in 7th grade is not going to be college material because she's falling behind." Which I think is preposterous. They should keep you informed as soon as they see that your kid is getting behind or something. They should call you and tell you. So after that and many other frustrating things and episodes that we had, we just decided to homeschool and to take the kids out of the public school, because it was a struggle, a daily struggle. And then we decided to homeschool until we found the St. Monica's Academy, which was a Catholic school, and very, I myself went to Catholic school.
Right.
And I know that Catholic school is very, very reliable in education, kids' education. And their curriculums and the discipline that they learn and everything, that's one thing that they don't learn in public school. They don't have no discipline. Kids are like wild kids, beasts running around. They don't even say hi.
Right.
They don't never acknowledge an adult or anything,
right.
or say hi or anything, which is a different thing in a Catholic school, which
right.
is great.
Now, judging from your accent, you are not a native of the United States, are you?
No. I'm from Colombia, South America.
All right. And how long have you been here in the United States?
Well, I've been here for at least 40, almost 45 years, I think.
Amazing. And you, obviously, you're a naturalized American.
Yes, I'm a citizen. I've been a citizen for a while now.
Right. And I know from long experience with you that you're a true patriot as well. So just to sum up your own experience, what you found was that that the teaching wasn't all that good. When they were actually teaching, they were often teaching something that just was not historical. And on top of it, you found yourself fighting with the teacher over raising your children. So this illustrates the point that we always hear. The teachers fall back on it all the time. They say, well, ultimately the parents are the first educators and so forth, but they fight with you all the time. And they end up forcing you out of the schools. And after you buy a house, you're paying in a wonderful city, you're paying high taxes. You paid a higher price for the house than you would have paid for it elsewhere. And now you've got to go out and spend your money all over again, a great personal sacrifice to secure some type of a quality future for your children. And that's where so many people are. The difference with you and others is not only your commitment, but somehow, some way, you found the resources to do it. But there are hundreds of probably 3, 4, 5 million children in this state whose parents really can't afford to do that, and they are condemned to the system, and then we get to pay for the bad results all over again.
Yes, it's very hard, and especially parents that work, both parents working, and they don't have time to check on the kids that much, or for some of them, just to keep them at school is just like babysitting.
Sure.
And they don't really have time to pay attention to what's going on in the schools.
Correct.
And
the teachers in the school system, they're happy to have it that way because with high taxes and their bonds and their pensions and everything else, they want you and your wife working every day to pay their pensions. Your job is to pay taxes, send them the money, pay up and shut up, and oh, by the way, give us your kids, give us your future, and above all, give us your money.
If you have a teacher that is not very competent, there's nothing you can do to remove that teacher.
Nope.
No matter what, because that happened a lot. With my 3 older kids that went through the system, they were part of the band in the middle school, and the teacher in the middle school and the band, he was a very good teacher. You could see the progress that the kids made from the first concert to the concert and the last day of school.
Yes,
it was just great, the progress. But once they get to the high school, everybody dropped because the teacher was not a very very good teacher, and everybody got really this not interested anymore in music,
Yes, I got you. Guillermo, I want to thank you so much for calling in. We're coming up on the end of our half hour here on a hard break here. We're going to have to jump. I want to thank you again for calling in, and I hope it won't be the last time. because
Mike,
school
no
choice
problem.
is a hot topic,
Yes.
and people are anxious to get their kids out of the system. And next time we'll talk about what $10,000 or $11,000 a year per child would help you to do for the education of your children.
All right, Mike. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Guillermo.
For what you're doing.
Hey,
All right.
You're very welcome. All right. That was Guillermo from South Pasadena talking about his experience. How much time do we have, Sully? We've only got 1 minute. I got a couple of other callers up here. Matt and Tony, I'd ask that you stick with us until after the top of the hour. We're going into another 30 minutes. Don't leave us. Call us at 866-870-5752.
And don't miss the Government Grifter Awards coming up soon.
Oh, yes. We'll do them after the top of the hour.
Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now broadcasting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with the president of the California Tax Limitation Committee, Mike Alexander, and America's funniest reporter, Carl Kozlowski.
All right. Mike Alexander back with you with Jonathan Wilson tonight as we continue our discussion of an all-important issue, the next civil rights issue of the 21st century, and that is school choice, educational freedom, parents choosing where and how to educate their children instead of the government. If you'd like to join our conversation, I'd ask that you call us at 866-870-5752. And by the way, don't forget to give us a little bit of love. Go to radiofreelosangeles.net, radiofreelosangeles.net.
And if you go to radiofreelosangeles.net, we've got a live broadcast of our broadcast here from 870. So
right.
You can watch us, donate, do all that at radiofreelosangeles.net.
That's right. It's a great program for those of you who are listening remotely. You go through our Facebook link. It's tremendous. Now, before we get back into the education, we'd like to give a shout-out to a few people who have contributed to us here recently.
Yeah, we had a great contribution this week from Annabelle in Pasadena.
Right.
She got set up as a sustaining member, which means that she's a monthly contributor, and that's what we encourage. If you want to get set up and contribute monthly to the program, you can give us a call at 626-792-1772.
You got it.
And I'd also like to give a shout-out to our 4 Facebook viewers right now. We've got 4 viewers on our Facebook Live.
All right.
Thank you guys for watching.
We're smoking hot, man. We're going to shut Facebook down. They're going to have a denial of service up there. All right, but hey, we've got to build. You've got to. I've been really pleasantly surprised at how many people who don't know me, or at least don't know me through politics, who have mentioned to me and to others that they heard the program while riding around on Sunday night. So we think Sunday night is a great spot. It's a time for us to come together after you've finished your weekend. As you're looking forward to the week, it's a good time to reflect and listen, and it takes a lot of patience. So I'm actually glad to have you on a Sunday night, and I really appreciate you coming with us. Now, I've got a couple of other callers, Matt and Tony, but gentlemen, if you would please, stay with me for just a minute because I want to take some time to explain what the elements of the school choice initiative are going to be. The key thing will be for you, the parents out there, or grandparents as the case may be, that each child, K through 12, will have a scholarship. Let's make it $10,000. It might actually be more, but $10,000 is a good number to work with. Each child in this state will have a scholarship of $10,000. That $10,000 will be automatically put into what they call an ESA, an Educational Savings Account. That Educational Savings Account can be spent only for education. That money doesn't go to the parents. It's not to buy your bands or to buy drugs with or anything else, base alimony with, nothing. that $10,000 basically belongs to the child, to the student, and can only be expended for approved expenses. Now, those can include attending your local public school. And remember, if you like your public school, you'll be able to keep it. And if you like your teacher, you'll be able to keep her if you want to. You'll be able to take that money, go to the public school with it. You can take that money and go to a private school with it. That private school can also be a religious school. Any school in the state of California that is currently qualified by the Western Association of Schools and Colleges and other acknowledged, recognized accrediting authorities, those schools will be able to accept those dollars. Now, the other nice thing about this program and this key feature is that there's going to be price discipline. You might say, well, my goodness, if there's $10,000 per year, well, that means that automatically every school is going to be charging $10,000 per kid, and there won't be any price discipline. No, that's not the case. You are a customer. You, the parent, will be able to take that $10,000 to do one of two things: negotiate for a lower price and keep that money in your educational savings account. It'll continue to accrue, that is, stack up, and then you'll be able to use it for college even. It's an incredible free market solution. Now, in other cases, you might want to put your child in a school that actually charges more. Well, that $10,000 will apply to that tuition. So maybe you have a $15,000 or $20,000 per year tuition. Well, now you're halfway there. There are a lot of parents. In fact, I spoke with a fellow the other night who interviewed me for his own podcast. He and his lovely wife live down in Inglewood, and they wanted their children to go to Loyola High School downtown, but they could never quite make it. Now, imagine if you had two children and you had $10,000 to $20,000 to start with. Well, you might be able to come up with another $10,000, but you couldn't come up with $30,000 or $40,000. That's the key. And that's going to lead to a lot of educational innovation in the county of Los Angeles. Now, those are the key features of the school choice. It leaves you, the parents, in charge of your children's education, and the good things never stop. Now, what we had invited people to call on before was their experience in the system. Right now, I'd like to talk with Tony. Tony's there on line 3. Are you there, Tony?
Hi, Mike. I'm here. First-time listener, first-time caller.
Great. Well, I'm glad that your attention was attracted by this the issue of school choice and education, which is important. I take it that you're a parent, Tony?
Well, yes, in a different kind of a way.
Sure.
First off, I'm a graduate of LAUSD.
Yes.
My father was a graduate of LAUSD. My grandfather was a graduate of LAUSD.
Incredible.
We go back to LA in 1861 is when the family first got here. But anyway.
All right.
Here's the situation. I'm a retired police officer now, but through my community activities, I'm a community activist here in Los Angeles, I met a bunch of young Korean-American kids that were living by MacArthur Park. And they were not living in great circumstances, let's put it that way. It's a gang neighborhood and whatever. And this one specific child I was asked to look after, since he didn't have a father from the day he was born, and his mother really couldn't take care of him. He originally went to Berendo Junior High School, which was a school of 80% Hispanics and 20% Asians. And this kid was kind of fat. Nice little kid, kind of fat. And he was getting bullied at Berendo. Not a good scene. His grades were reflecting it.
Correct.
And then when it was time for high school, now when I went to high school, it was 10, 11, and 12. Now I guess it's 9, 10, 11, and 12. So when it was time for high school, they sent him to Wilson, which is 95% Hispanic and 5% Asian. And the same thing happened, but even worse. So he stopped going to school. And I went and saw the vice principal. We had a nice discussion. And I'm one of the few policemen in the history of Los Angeles that actually was defended and represented by Stephen Yagman, the famous civil rights lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
Yagman.
Yeah, I
Steve
remember.
Yagman and I became very, very good friends. But anyway, and I basically mentioned that to LAUSD. Fine, the kid is coming to school to get an education, and he's getting beat up, and blah, 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 blah. I'll have Mr. Yagman take this to federal court, civil rights violation, and this kid's going to be collecting $1 million.
Interesting.
Like, no, you don't have to go that far. We're going to transfer him. Name a school, is what LAUSD said. Name one. And he will be there tomorrow.
Interesting.
So I said, Fairfax. Fairfax is a good school.
Right.
Well, by that time, this young man decided, I want to go to school. He was done with school. So I've done very well in the property management business, buying and selling properties and running them like that. So I took the kid and decided to play scared straight. And some of my properties are straight up on Skid Row, which is not Skid Row anymore.
Right.
Because it's kind of, gotten gentrified. And it was okay, hey, your mom needs money. There's no free lunch. Either you go to school, you're refusing to go, or you go get a job, which I'm going to give you, and you're going to take the money home to mama because you're going to pay rent. And that's what we did. And he would clean sidewalks with human feces and urine and filth and everything else. And at the end of every week, it was, are you going to go to school? No, I'm not going to go to school. Fine, this is your job. Get busy.
Right.
After about 2 years, this kid was hating on me, and he learned some construction skills and like that. And by the time he was 17 years old, he made $27,000 working. But he's got a ninth grade education. That's not good.
Right.
So I go back to LAUSD, and I said, look, what can we do with this kid? This is not a good situation. And they said, well, East Los Angeles Occupational Center. He ED from there, and we'll teach him a trade, electronics, construction, cement, whatever. I said, fine, that's a great idea. So I send him there. But just prior to sending him there, you're going to love this story. You were talking about the Navy. I was in the Navy. I was on the USS Ranger, an aircraft carrier.
Right.
When I took the ASVAB, I did okay. I didn't do, terrific, but I did okay. I take this kid to the Navy recruiter in Culver City. The kid with a ninth grade education takes the ASVAB and scores off the charts. And I looked at the kid and said, oh, there's something wrong here. You're not the stupid little idiot that I thought you were.
Right.
And we sent him to the East LA Occupational Center. He was there 1 week. Took the GED, passed it straight out, turned around to me and said, well, guess you don't have to go to school anymore. So I sent him on to junior college, and he went on to Cal State LA and got his bachelor's degree. And today he's 29 years old, and he does bridge loans and construction. So he does very well for himself.
Right.
But the point I'm making is he didn't need LAUSD.
Correct.
It's just insane. The whole thing is just absolutely insane. There's too much money being spent on too much nonsense. And I don't want to go against labor unions because, in a way, the police departments can't have a labor union. But in a way, there are police associations, and I was a vice president of mine. And I think that they're good things. But on other hand, I think that they're bad things too. When the job of law enforcement is to do law enforcement service to the community, the job of the teacher is to teach the kids. Both those jobs are not to lobby for better pensions, more money, and more benefits.
Tony, we're coming up on a break here, so I want to thank you for your call. And after the break, I'm going to comment on a few things that you had to say because they're very interesting and raise other issues I think the public ought to be aware of. 866, lost my place, 866-870-5752.
If you like what you're hearing and would like to support Radio Free Los Angeles and the California Tax Limitation Committee, please call area code 626-792-1772. 626-792-1772. or kindly visit our website, catlc.net. catlc.net. You can also watch Radio Free Los Angeles on Facebook Live at radiofreela.us.
If you'd like to talk with Radio Free Los Angeles, the phone lines are wide open. 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. We're live, local, and here to talk with you. 866-870-KRLA.
All right, back with you, Mike Alexander once again. Radio Free Los Angeles. Go to radiofreelosangeles.net. Click that contribute button and give us a little love. We could use some support here. Remember what the lead-in says. This is citizen-sponsored radio. That means you. That means me. That means all of us together trying to make a difference and turn this state around and make California golden again. And we can't even begin to think about any of that unless we address one of the top two problems in our state. Number one is the pension plan. I've spent plenty of time on this. If you haven't heard me talk about this before, don't worry, keep listening, because this problem isn't going away, and neither am I. Number two problem in this state is the abysmal state of public instruction. We have an absolute disaster going on with students not learning what they need to do to fully participate and become productive members in our society, in our democracy, and, of course, in the economy of the future. And it's ironic as we talk about creating a new generation of artificial intelligence, robots, the new unlimited future of technology. Our school system in this state is failing to keep pace with what we need in this incredible era of unsurpassed change and innovation in our economy. And we have a 12th century educational system that consumes more money than the rest of our system put together. And when we had Tony was on here talking about that Korean kid that he kind of adopted, and it was kind of funny in its own way, with the kid playing stubborn, refusing to go to the classes with, I guess, all the idiots. Maybe he was a little reticent, didn't tell him. He cleans up. He's got to work a slum job. Tony was working him hard. Then he goes out, takes the GED, that goes on to college, you know. It was really kind of a funny story. Tony, we thank you for calling in. But it did point out, Tony's major point was that these schools failed to innovate, failed to adapt. They failed to deal with these kids' individual problems. And it's only the parents, or in the case of this young Korean kid, Tony coming in as a kind of a foster parent, a big brother, intervening in his life to make it happen. But not everybody's got a Tony. Not everybody has the alternatives. Not everybody can threaten the school system. But yet that's what it takes to get it to respond. Only the free market can provide the kind of alternatives and innovations that we need. We're spending less and less money on education and more money on administration. And in the last 50 years, for example, it's no surprise to Tony or anybody else that there's been a 700% increase in administrative, that is, non-teacher positions, while student growth is only up 96%. So in other words, it's 7 to 1. What they're doing is feather bedding. They're hiring more bureaucrats, paying them more money, and the so-called school, so-called system has its own pension bomb that is in the tank. It's not going to survive, and we've got huge problems, and we have to recognize these problems. And the first thing we have to do is to recognize what we have. Now, we have one caller left. I want to get to him, and then before the end of the hour, we're going to do our favorite feature, Government Grifter of the Week. Matt, you're back on line 2. What is it that you want to say about education?
Hey, I'm sorry to call you back, but it's something I'd like for everybody to know.
Yes.
All your listeners. All of the 10 tenets of the Communist Manifesto have been implemented in this country, and the 10th tenet of the Communist Manifesto is government control of education.
That's correct.
We had good education in this country when it was local, and parents were doing homeschooling, and they knew what was happening. You can ask 2 generations back of the current students, and their parents and grandparents have no idea what's going on in this country.
That's
I
right.
just wanted to point that out. And the word democracy is in the papers surrounding the Communist Manifesto. We are a constitutional republic. Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution. It actually called for the civilian militia to go to the borders and protect our land borders. And I'm sorry to call you back.
That's all right, Matt. But, thank you for calling in. And we look forward to having you call again sometime in the future. Matt's point is extremely well taken. The fact is, whether you see our government as having been taken over by a communist system or other political actors, what you can't dispute is that our educational system is controlled by the government, and this government and everybody who's behind it has a specific objective. They have an agenda that they want to implement. And in coming weeks, I'm going to be discussing the nature of education, our modern school system, and its inherent limitations. And we really want to talk about it because there's a lot more going on in the schools than just reading, writing, and arithmetic. There's a specific social and political agenda, and that happens with every school, great and small. All the best schools, we send them there because of those messages. But these ones that messages they're delivering in public schools, we disagree with, and parents need to be free to take their children someplace else where they can have it. Now, Sully, we're going to wrap up. I want to thank everybody for being with us the extra half hour. We're going to be doing this next week. Now, as we end our show here, we want to do one of our favorite shows. We get great nights.
And now, the special Oscars edition of the Government Grifter Award.
All right.
We got some great nominees this week. And we got all of our nominees from Sierra Madre this week. Now, keep in mind, Sierra Madre is a city of 11,000 people. That's tiny.
Right.
It's 3 square miles. So keep those numbers in mind when we go through these nominees.
All right.
The first nominee is the water pump operator. Apparently, Sierra Madre's got a water pump.
They got water pump problems.
And this guy makes $82,000 a year.
Amazing.
Salary and benefits.
Oh, my gosh.
And then we go on up to the public safety director.
Right.
With an annual salary and benefits of $194,000.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what he does?
Not quite sure, but I do know that there's only 11,000 residents, and it's only 3 square miles.
Right. And we know that Sierra Madre is a hotbed of crime, just like San Marino.
Right.
Very dangerous place to live.
It is.
Right.
You don't want to be out past dark in Sierra Madre.
Yeah, a murder rate higher than Chicago.
And the third nominee is the city manager, who is making close to $234,000 a year annual benefits and salary.
And that's 3 square miles, right?
That's right.
So let's see, using my calculator here, that's about, coming up on about $80,000 per square mile for being the city mismanager. Okay. Who else you got?
We also have the finance director at $160,000 a year.
Oh, man.
And then the public works director at $173,000 a year. And the last nominee, which is kind of an interesting, I have no idea what this person does, but it's the water lead worker. Do you know what a water lead worker is?
I've got no clue.
Well, this guy's making a little over $87,000 a year.
Unbelievable.
As the water lead worker.
All right.
Life is good in Sierra Madre.
Hey, well, the nominations are in. All right. So who's our grand winner here?
And the winner, coming in with a $230,000 $34,000 a year salary and benefits is the city manager.
Oh, boy.
Congratulations, city manager. This is city manager's first nomination and first Grifter Award.
That's right. And as always, you know, those other people, the water lead worker, the pump operator, the safety public safety director, if you're listening to this broadcast, call in because we want to know what you do for that kind of money. All right. Hey, it's almost the end of our show. We've enjoyed having you. We're going to continue our conversation here about public finance and especially about the most important thing in our state, which is the future of our children and their quality of life. I want to thank Jonathan Wilson, particularly for sitting in tonight. For Carl Kozlowski, we certainly appreciate it. And how much time do we have left? Well, I got 1 minute left. You know, we just I want to emphasize that over there in Sierra Madre, we picked them out. This is a very small city. They've got maybe 12,000 people, 5,000 households, and you've got a city mismanager that's charging you $233,000, and a finance director that gets $160,000 a year, even though the city is underwater, anywhere from $10 to $40 million on their pension. So you better get somebody who can add over there and get the hell out of the pension business and start paying your bills over there instead of taxing your citizens to death. Get rid of that UUT. Tell them to start managing the money. Cut that spending. Go over to a defined contribution, a 401k plan for all new hires. Get rid of your police department. Go with the county. Cut that money. Stop spending. Stop spending. You have a spending problem, not a revenue problem. And as long as you guys keep going, you're going to ruin this state. We're done for, and it's because of you city mismanagers and the clowns that run the city council. Next week, tune in for Radio Free Los Angeles.